Allergy season doesn't wait until you're home. It shows up in the car, at work, even at the gym. That's why Kleenex Ultra Soft Tissues have you covered. They're allergist approved and silky soft to help prevent skin irritation. And now, new Kleenex Snap and Go lets you take your favorite skin-loving tissues anywhere. A durable, compact case with a snap-shut lid, Kleenex Snap and Go keeps tissues clean and protected. So wherever allergies strike, comfort is within reach. For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex Snap and Go.
I'm U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy.
We all get distracted when we drive, whether it's from our phones or kids in the backseat bickering. But how we handle these distractions can be a matter of life or death. Before you get on the road for your next road trip, please put your phones on silent and take a mental note to focus on driving.
Paid for by NHTSA.
This one's for all my TV lovers. My Entertainment from DirecTV gets you 60-plus channels and Disney+, Hulu, and HBO Max all in one pack. But here's the thing. With so much great TV in My Entertainment, you're going to want to talk about everything you've been watching. Just remember that your friends might not be as well watched as you. Don't be a spoiler and encourage them to get My Entertainment for just $34.99 a month. Go to directtv.com/genre packs and sign up today. New customers only. Service renews monthly unless canceled. Credit card required. Conditions apply to apps. HBO Max Basic with ads begins after DirecTV 5-day trial. Learn more at directtv.com. Restrictions apply.
Hello to everybody who is scared of snakes. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, one phone call, no names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hi, everybody. I know not everybody loves a long intro. If you want to skip right to the phone call, skip about like 5.5 minutes ahead. That puts you right there. Thanks so much and enjoy. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beautiful Anonymous. My name is Chris Gethard, and it's a joy to be your host. Over 500 episodes in a world where everything's becoming a little more calculated. Everything's becoming a little more commodified. Even podcasts now are just being turned into de facto TV shows. I am so happy to tell you that for 10 years we've been here with largely unedited conversations with real people all over the world, raw, real, trying to just put humanity under a magnifying glass to both analyze it, celebrate it, and just give it a platform to explain itself in its own words via you, our listeners. Sometimes I say that descriptions of the show, and I go, yeah, that is what it is. Another way, we do goofy anonymous phone calls, rather. That's another way to put it. We just started to have anonymous phone calls. Or we're allowing people in a world that's filled with algorithms and artificial intelligence and things feeling less and less real in front of our very eyes every day. A show that's fighting desperately to put real people's real stories, real opinions, real emotions on a platform for us to all connect with each other. Because in the face of algorithms and AI and all of this slop that doesn't feel real, I think one of the best things we can do is find the ways to stay connected with our own humanity, the humanity of others. And I don't think I'm saying anything particularly revolutionary in pointing that out, but I'm glad to be part of the solution. Thank you for listening. It makes you part of the solution as well. Want everybody to know I currently have shows on sale in Red Bank, New Jersey. That's a big one for me, and that's almost sold out. I think it's over 2/3 sold out. We've got 2 shows up in Boston in July. That's July 18th. Those ones are on sale. Also have shows later in the year coming in Endicott, New York, and also Durham, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, and Gainesville, Florida. Those are not on sale yet, but they're coming. But Jersey, if you want to come hang out at the Jersey Shore, June 19th, Red Bank, New Jersey, I'll be there. That's with my friends John Kaz, Kurt Braunohler. It's going to be a very fun, everybody's local to Jersey. It's going to be a huge celebration of our home state. And I've said for anybody who's ever supported me at a live show over the years, thank you. Seeing me in Jersey is me at my best. I connect with those crowds in a way that's very real. Come hang out. Have a good time. And 2 shows in Boston. Those are going to be really fun. That's July 18th at the Comedy Studio. And I hope we can sell those out. Those are going to be really fun. And I know when I said those shows were coming, heard from a lot of beautiful anonymous listeners. These are stand-up shows. There's a 7:15 and a 9:30. I heard from a bunch of people saying, wait, you said a Boston show? Well, yep, the tickets are on sale right now. Go to punchup.live/Chris Gethard. You can get those tickets. Let's sell these bad boys out, because why not? It's always fun to sell out a show. Let's make it happen. I'm so lucky to be here. So lucky to be with you. So lucky to be doing this. I wanted to let everybody know that while I was in my office today, I got a note that I've received my reading materials for the Eisner Fellowship. This fellowship is coming up, and I just want everybody to know I'm so excited to do it and extraordinarily intimidated. One of the other people who got the fellowship, I'm acting as if where this is not being heard by tens of thousands of people, but I feel like, honestly, the beautiful anonymous community is one that I can connect with in a very vulnerable way. So it's weird because this feels intimate for me to say. One of the other people who got this arts leadership fellowship I'm doing just won the Pulitzer Prize and then got nominated for a Tony, I believe, in the same week, maybe the same day. I'm sitting here going, man, I know that I would like to think I bring something to the conversation, especially when it comes to championing the arts. I'm a working class kid who has built a career in the arts and then has championed other young artists over and over again along the way. So I know I have something to offer, but I'm going, man, I got to try to keep up with these Pulitzer Prize winners, man. So I got to keep my head on my shoulders, and I hope I make everybody proud. But man, that is really intimidating and very real. I'm being very vulnerable with you all right now by telling you that. But as always, I think Beautiful Anonymous is this huge part of this puzzle that gives me the confidence to think of myself. Sometimes one perspective on myself is, man, I set out to be a comedian and now no one can even tell what I am. There's not a word for what I do because I do all these different things that go in these different directions. And Beautiful Anonymous certainly is one of the biggest representatives of that, if not the biggest. But on the other hand, I think I have this career that supersedes classification. And I stumbled into it, and I just pray every day that I can keep it going. And so much of this is hopefully going to synthesize in a way where I can make you guys proud with whatever comes out of this global arts leadership initiative that I'm being sucked into. I'm excited for it. And I'm excited to get it going in June. Okay. This week's episode, really good, really good. The caller, I don't want to say too much. The caller's had some interesting career choices. Presently has a life of service in the past that we got to talk about, has lived in some unusual places. The conversation flew by. I was having so much fun talking to her. I feel like we could have talked for hours and hours, honestly, because she had so much cool life experience. Ranging from like, hey, what's it like to be tangentially involved in some major world events that we've watched unfold on the news, to one of the best animal stories I think we've ever heard on the show. And like everything in between. Really great call. I think you're going to enjoy it. Thanks so much for listening. Tell people we exist. And honestly, if you got $5 a month, beautifulanonymous.com, when you sign up for our extra stuff, it's just the biggest vote of confidence in this show that's going to keep it going even longer. Our contract, it's starting to count down. We're about 2 years out from the contract being up. The numbers are headed in a smaller direction than in the past. So the best way for me to solidify this show having a future beyond those 2 years is to just say the more people that sign up for that stuff over at beautifulanonymous.com, the more of a chance that we survive long term. So thanks so much in advance for thinking about it. All right, everybody, enjoy the call.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to ask.
No need to ask. We all know
I
the
already
answer.
know it's you.
Yeah, it's me.
I know. I hate it when people do it, and I already talked about it, so it's as bad as doing it.
But it's a tradition. What do you mean you hate traditions?
No, actually, speaking of tradition, I'm a day oneer.
That's awesome. Congrats. 10 years in. Have you been trying to call for 10 years?
Yeah, kind of.
Wow. Well done. Thanks for sticking with it.
I actually sat at the record store show. I sat on hold for so long. I was like, you know what? There's still a chance for the whole time. And I was like, they're surely done.
You're talking about the one when I out to Culture Clash Records and we
in
recorded an
Ohio.
episode there, and there were like 6 people there watching?
Yeah. And I was like,
That's awesome.
6 verified is more than usual. 0 people in the room with me.
Well, I'm so glad that you are calling, and I'm really thankful that you've listened all this time.
Thank you. I'm super stoked, obviously. How are you? How's the fam?
Fam is really good. Thank you so much for asking. Yeah, I think everybody's feeling good. Hallie said it was the best Mother's Day she's had since she became a mom, so I felt really good about that. Cal is a complete joy, although I have learned that he's in a phase where he will lie to try to get out of trouble. If he senses he might be in trouble, he'll try to lie his way out of it. And he doesn't.
Yeah, that's like developmentally pretty on track. He's like 7.
Yeah, he just turned 7 a month ago.
That's so beautiful.
And I've given a couple chances to him at times where like there's been a few things where I know the facts of the matter, or I'm 95% sure. And I'll say to him,
yeah,
life is a lot better when I know that I can trust you and you're not going to lie to me. Are you sure the story went the way you told it? And he'll be like, yep. And I'm like, I am 99% certain you are lying to me right now. So I have to watch out for that.
You know, in a certain way, it's almost like it's so normal. But I've got a 5-year-old, and he's very precocious, very like outgoing, and he'll do that too. He doesn't do it to get out of stuff. He just likes to like make his stories better. And
that I don't have a problem with.
Is this it? Well, it sometimes veers into what is actually believable, and so we end up asking questions to fellow grown-ups that don't make any sense. We're like, hey, you guys are going on a trip to China, huh? They're like, no, we're going to Florida.
This is a talent. This is a talented and creative mind we're dealing with.
Yeah, he's very, very creative and hilarious.
There is one situation where I feel bad because I think there was a moment where he thought he was going. Bad for you?
Bad for him?
No, but you'll hear bad for a lot of us.
Okay.
There was a thing that happened that wasn't a huge deal, but that I was confused by, and he saw my confusion. I think what happened was he saw my confusion and concern, thought he was going to get in trouble. Rather than just telling me what happened, he decided to blame another kid, thinking the trouble was coming anyway. I called that kid's parents to be like, so something weird happened and here's what I'm hearing. And they like talked to their kid and then messaged me and were like, our kid is crying saying none of this happened. And I'm like, none of it's a huge deal anyway. I'm like, my guess is that something small happened and my guy is telling some anxiety-riddled version of it to try to not make... But the more I've thought about it, the more I think he told a couple lies to make it another kid's fault when nothing really of consequence happened, but he thought I was heading that way. So he like threw another kid under the bus on something where if he had just pulled back on the stick...
If you just explain what happened, it's like not even big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm
that
one I'm like,
I'm
50-50 that I called another kid's parents and they were like, whoa, really? Our kid did that? And I'm like, that's what I'm hearing. And then they're getting back to me. He's saying he didn't do that. And we generally know when he's lying. And I'm like, ooh, man.
Yeah.
That ain't good.
It reminds me of the scene on A Christmas Story when he blames his friend on his curse word and it was really his dad and that other kid gets it.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway. Happy Mother's Day to you, by the way.
Parenting is... Well, thank you very much. Parenting is very unique and just like forming a human. No pressure.
Yeah.
Us boy parents trying to, navigate sending a future grown man into the world with all the right things, hopefully.
Someday.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I had called in, obviously I've been a long time listener, but the thing that I had mentioned was that I'm a veteran. I'm an Air Force veteran. So is my husband. We met all the way in Guam. We're both from like the Chicagoland area, but we found ourselves in Guam at the same time. We are together now for 10 years. Married for 5. Don't do the math on my 5-year-old. So it was kind of, I'd had an Afghanistan deployment under my belt. Obviously lived in Guam, lived all over the place. I even lived in Montana.
Wow. I mean, even Montana, of all the Afghanistan, Guam,
Of all the places,
and
right?
Montana. Wow. Well, thank you for your service, first of all.
Thank you. The thing about the transitions was, like, it was crazy. I found out I was going to Guam, and I found out I was going to Afghanistan before Guam, like kind of at the same time. And they wanted me to choose one or the other, and I said no. So I did the craziest thing ever, and I deployed. And I came back and was in Montana for like a matter of weeks. And then I moved to Guam, which is a small, you may be aware, but I'm going to say it anyways, a small, teeny weeny U.S. territory island in like the middle of the Pacific. It's closer to the Philippines and Japan than it is to Hawaii, but it's just out in the open ocean by the Marianas Trench. And I was there for 3 years. I am way too pale to live that close to the equator, as I learned. But that's where I met my husband. I even brought a dog back from there.
You have a dog from Guam?
So I did all that. I did. She's unfortunately passed away. I've been out of the military for 8 years now, and they thought, I called her my vampire dog because she thought she was 8 when I got her. And I was like, I'll give her her golden years. And then I had her for 10 more years. So she was definitely not 8.
Wow.
So yeah, that was kind of wild. But that transition from dry mountain climate in whatever it was, October, November, straight to a tropical island was rough.
Yeah, I bet. Now, I don't know much about Guam. I'm fascinated by it. It exists in one of the strange sort of territorial
it's like a kind of
statuses.
question mark, huh?
Yeah, it's a bit of a question mark, right? And two things that I've heard are, one of them I'm fairly certain I just recently read, which is that a lot of people just go, Guam is just kind of near Hawaii. It must be just like Hawaii. And what I've read is actually, it is not. And that there's not really much swimming. Like there's not big waves. It's not like, hey, go sit on the beach. Like the way that
Well, it is beachy. It's not, so... Yeah,
it's not like a surfer paradise. I've read that because of the way like the coral or the atolls are arranged, that it's not a surfer paradise and you'll get really hurt if you go out trying to surf, that type of thing.
Yeah, it humbled me a lot about the ocean. I'm from the Midwest. I don't have much ocean experience prior to going to Guam. Mm-hmm. And by that I mean none. And people really wanted me to, there's really good scuba diving in Guam. That's like what it's known for. Cool. Among travelers and adventurers or whatever. So like Guam and the surrounding islands, which are not super close, but they're all close enough that once you're in one, you might as well go to another one if you're doing that type of a trip. One of those islands is called Palau, and you may have seen images of the freshwater jellyfish lake they have there. You can scuba dive with a lake full of jellyfish because it's the only place on Earth that they live in fresh water, and they've evolved over millions of years to not have stinging, whatever jellyfish sting you with. So in Palau, there's like a one in the world scuba dive that you can do. So then people also come to Guam because there's massive reefs, and then there's also 2 shipwrecks down in the water that you can touch both shipwrecks. They're from 2 different wars in the same dive, and that's the only place on Earth you can do that. But it's very dangerous to scuba dive, as you know, as everyone knows. And the currents there are strong, as I mentioned. It's right next to the Marianas Trench, so it's like it can be humbling. Like every time a big military exercise would happen and people from different places would come to Guam to do military work, there would be a casualty in the water. It feels like on rec time, like on like off time, like a bunch of people from the Midwest come out for a TDY. It's the best trip that they've been on in their whole military career. They're on a beach, you know, and it's wicked hot. So it's not like Hawaii. Hawaii has very agreeable hot weather. You know, it's hot, but it's like breezy. Guam is thick, hot air. Like,
have I also read that Guam is overrun with snakes, or am I making that up in my head?
No, that's right too. Brown tree snakes. I don't know how they got there originally. Maybe I should know more. I try to know a lot of facts about these things, but they were brought in somehow. And Guam used to have tons of songbirds, apparently, like beautiful. You go to the jungle and there's just alive with songbirds, and that now they're gone. There's no songbirds left.
If I remember right, I may have read something that Guam once had a rodent problem, so it was proposed to bring in snakes to kill the rodents.
They sent rodents, poison-laden rodents. They literally dropped them from the air into the jungle and killed off a bunch of the snakes that way.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Okay.
Yep. And they also had a bounty on the brown tree snakes' heads for the locals to make some cash off of. So between those things, it was relatively under control. I was there from 2013 to 2016-ish, and by the time I got there, it had been pretty well, like they weren't everywhere. I would see them from time to time, and I simply must tell you the craziest snake story I've got.
Please tell me the craziest snake story you've got.
So Guam's just a lot different in a ton of ways. One of the ways is that people keep their dogs outside all the time, and there's tons of stray dogs. People don't really look after their dogs in the same way that us in the mainland and U.S. do. It never gets so cold that they die there, so it's kind of just perpetually a thing. And my friend rescued a dog off the street. The dog did not have any interest in living inside. It was kind of feral. And he was going on a trip off the island. He asked me if I could keep the dog just in my yard. And I had a fence, so I said, yeah, that's probably a fine. As long as she can't dig out or whatever. So she's chilling out in my yard. One of the nights I woke up at I was drifting to sleep, and 11:30 midnight, and I hear this dog outside just barking and barking and barking. It's kind of a barky dog anyway, so it's kind of like, okay, whatever it is will pass. But she was just going and going, like right in front of the door. And I was like, there's no way that she wants to come inside. She's too wild. And I walked out in my bathrobe, grumpy, kind of like, what is it? And she's barking at this huge planter, across it maybe like 2.5 feet. So it's a big cement planter with plants in it right outside the door. And around the base of it is like the thickest snake I've seen, like loose in the wild in my life. Luckily, I was like, oh God, pick up the dog. I don't let my own dogs come outside. And my neighbor is luckily outside. My next door neighbor was Chamorro. That's what you call Native people in Guam. And Chamorro culture is incredible, like amazing, very communal, very, very traditional in a way. And these guys were very tough. And I said, hey, there's a snake. Can anyone help? And they all, it was like 3 or 4 grown men. They all were like, yes. And so they come over and they got it out from around the pot. And it's big. It's like 6 feet long. And I was horrified. And my washer and dryer lived outside because, again, there's a lot of things about Guam that are different, including that. And this guy gets the snake out from under my washer and dryer finally. They move everything around. He grabs it by the tail. And I'm going to try to describe this the best way I can. He swings it like a lasso from the tail and slams it head first on the ground. I did not know he was going to do that.
Did he kill the snake?
He killed it immediately like that.
Are these snakes poisonous or dangerous to people or pets or anything like that?
They're invasive to Guam, so you must kill them. And they are, at that size, if that snake bit a small dog or a small enough child, could do damage with their venom. But because they're so small relative to people, they're basically considered not dangerous to us.
But these are a kill-on-site species. This is not something. This
And
guy was doing a public service. This is not an ASPCA or PETA issue here.
No. I'm not complaining here. I'm telling you, this was
No,
my
I'm saying
real
for
lived
our
experience,
listeners,
and it
for our
had to happen.
listeners,
Yeah.
for anybody who's like, why did he kill that
I-
snake? You're saying, no, you kill these snakes when you find them.
Yeah, I was trying to lead into it by saying there was a bounty on them. They killed all the songbirds. Like, we got to get rid of these things. But
That's
yeah,
wild.
absolutely. I know there's people that don't like to hear that, but it was insane. And like I said, he did not tell me this was the method.
Wow.
I was just sitting there holding this dog that's not mine in my bathrobe. And I'm like, well, now I'm just going to go to bed. Thank you very much for that. But
that's an adrenaline rush right there.
yeah. So it's like having done stuff like that, and now I just work in an office in a town in Illinois.
Well, can I ask you, because I've done enough stuff with the military now, and
Yeah.
the whole military's badass. Every single branch. Let me be clear.
Well, I wasn't even at
about
work
that.
when that happened.
Well, I just want to say, because you were saying like you've done all stuff like that, but one thing I've learned is, because I've done a couple USO shows with the Army, I went and spoke
Yeah.
about mental health with the Navy, with all these people on a carrier, and they had flyers and all this stuff. And I have a lot of respect for the military. For some, there are people, some of the people who follow my work are like, oh, you say nice stuff about the military, and that's the industrial war complex. And I'm like, I don't like the industrial war complex. I don't love the amount of American budget that the military takes up. Doesn't mean that when I see,
I watched it being spent irresponsibly as well.
yeah, but this does not mean that when I see or meet someone who dedicates themselves to a life of service as a young person, that I can't appreciate it. Or especially I've found when I've spoken with the Army, when you're dealing with infantry kids, very often they go, this was my way out of a town where there was, it was.
That's what my story is.
Every other route was a dead end. But one thing I've learned about the Air Force is the other branches of the military seem to view the Air Force as having some of the biggest badasses and also some of the biggest nerds. Is this true?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
where did you land on that? Where did you land on that spectrum?
I was a nerd who got the opportunity to do badass things sometimes.
Whoa, that's intriguing.
So my job was logistics, and I helped move whatever it was that needed to move on an airplane to basically to like wherever we're fighting a war. So like Afghanistan, at first it was Iraq. I joined in 2009. So 2009 to 2017 was kind of a time. It's all been a time. But so my logistics, I was moving either people or cargo or what have you, a bunch of other stuff too. And I got to go to Afghanistan. I was in Bagram in 2013 during the summer from March to October. And while I was there, I was doing something that was kind of like my job, but a little different. And I was traveling around to these FOBs, to forward operating bases, which are like smaller installations around. And that was crazy. We had to go to one called FOB Shank, which, why is it called that? I don't want to go somewhere called Shank. And we had to get there by helicopter. So I get myself to the helicopter terminal where I am, and they're like, guess what? Just yesterday on this same route, the helicopter pilot got shot at, and he finished the flight. He got shot in the leg. He finished the flight. And I was like, wait, that was just yesterday on this same type of helicopter going to this same place? I was like, I don't want to go on that. I did it because I had to. Whoa. But, like, just stuff like, you're just so adjacent to things. You're so close to things that you sort of, I like trauma bonded with a few people that I'm still very close with. Like, you just sort of enter a different mind space. Because I lived there. I was there for 7 months. You kind of
really
just go,
intense.
You go into a different space because you can't freak out about everything.
Yeah.
You physically can't. And
no,
so,
you can't.
Once you sort of enter a homeostasis a little bit, and I mean, I was still very freaked out by certain things. I don't know if you remember, there was a 747 that was carrying cargo that crashed in Bagram in 2013. I unfortunately saw that many times over because I was there when it crashed. It was right when I got there. There was some dash cam from a Humvee that leaked. Wasn't supposed to. It has the whole thing on video. So there's a chance you may have seen it. But it crashed, huge cloud of smoke, and then they left the wreckage there for weeks and weeks, maybe even months and months, in my memory, because they were still doing the investigation. But it wasn't like cordoned off. It was like next to the road.
That's wild.
And it's just like jarring. Yeah. And it was on my way to the burn pit where I probably inhaled some toxic fumes.
You were out near those burn pits.
Yeah, I'm on the registry.
Like the Jon Stewart went to Congress to shame them into paying more attention. Burn
Making
pits.
the registry for? Yeah.
Damn, you've been through it. We're going to pause. Caller has been through it. You've been through it too. Everybody needs breaks in life sometimes. Let's go ahead. Let's do our ads. I don't know about you, but I like keeping my money. I like knowing where my money is. I like understanding where it goes. Unfortunately, traditional big wireless carriers also seem to like to keep my money too. They're a big fan of kind of willy-nilly taking my money however they feel like it, with very little explanation, I should add. Guess what? After years of overpaying for wireless, I finally got fed up with the crazy high wireless bills, with the bogus fees, with the free perks that actually cost more in the long run. Switch to Mint Mobile, and you save so big with Mint Mobile. It is amazing how simple the bills are, how you don't have all these hidden fees that you want explanations for, but you've asked for the explanations so many times that you eventually give up. This is bad business. Mint Mobile, good business. Stop overpaying for wireless just because that's how it's always been. Mint exists purely to fix that. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Bring your own phone and number, activate with eSIM in minutes, start saving immediately. No long-term contracts, no hassle. Ditch overpriced wireless, get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. It is true. These wireless bills are out of control. They are unpredictable. I've always felt like when you get those bills and the things vary wildly from month to month, it feels to me intentional, like there's some shock and awe that makes you just want to throw your hands up and not ask questions. Mint is keeping things simple, clear, honest. Go ahead and switch. You won't believe the difference. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/beautiful. That's mintmobile.com/beautiful. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5GB plan required. That's equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. The fastest growing businesses, they're not necessarily doing more. They're delegating smarter. Upwork helps you bring in expert freelance help fast so you can delegate and keep moving. Upwork is a one-stop platform to find, hire, and pay expert freelancers across web and software development, data and analytics, marketing, business operations, and more. Upwork helps grow your business by giving you fast access to specialized talent across 125 plus categories. You can fill skill gaps. You can launch projects faster. You can scale support up or down without committing to a full-time headcount. You can browse profiles, review past work, and get help scoping the role so you can hire with confidence and get started quickly. With Business Plus, you can access the top 1% of talent on Upwork. And with AI-powered shortlisting, you'll get matched to the right freelancer in under 6 hours. No endless searching required. Upwork also cuts down operational hassle by handling things like contracts and payments in one place so you can spend more time actually running the business. Thousands of growing businesses already trust Upwork to hire flexible, high-quality freelance talent for everything from one-off projects to ongoing support. It's free to sign up, and posting a job is easy. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jake Goodman, and I'm the host of Beyond the Script, a podcast where I sit down with pharmacists to answer all those health questions that you forget or maybe are too embarrassed to ask when you're at the pharmacy counter. In this episode, all about women's health, Amy Lynn Safety Valentine, a CVS pharmacist from Long Island, New York, talked about just how often women approach pharmacists with questions about menopause symptoms.
When it comes to patients that are really suffering with the symptoms of perimenopause or menopause, it's really important for them to be evaluated by their OBGYN because there are a lot of prescription medications that can help with that. If someone is really opposed to taking medications, there are a few lifestyle modifications that they can do, like avoiding caffeine and spicy foods, trying to stay hydrated, have a regular sleep cycle, get some exercise. Those are all things that can kind of help to limit the symptoms.
Hear the full conversation, plus so many fantastic insights into all the stages of life when it comes to women's health. Listen to Beyond the Script, a podcast from CVS Pharmacy, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks so much to our advertisers. Now let's get back to the phone call. Damn, you've been through it.
That's how it sounds. I'm trying to balance things out a little bit, but it was a thing, and I love that I got to do that. Politics aside, it made me so much better as a person. I wouldn't have left my hometown. I was running away. I was getting away from a bad home situation. I had to leave. I had to just get out, and that was the fastest way. I ended up getting a good job, getting a good score on my tests, and, I graduated high school, and 5 months later I was in basic.
Well, I once, on an Army base, I did a USO show, and they were talking to me, let's be clear. I'm there as entertainment and an outsider, and they had me eat lunch with a number of kids, and I'm aware these are hand-picked people, and they know that I'm a comedian and therefore a loudmouth. But so I know but all these kids were telling me like this was the most incredible job training they would be able to afford, both in terms of what they were doing in the military and, future college pay and placement. But I met a young woman in the Army who did logistics for the Army. And she said it was kind of like these complicated, sometimes high pressure, badass resupply situations to, get damaged equipment out or fixed in the midst of a war zone and all this stuff. But she was saying to me, she's like, the reason this is worth it to me is she goes, those of us who do logistics in the Army, think about how much of the American economy now is pure logistics, whether it's shipping, whether it's FedEx, USPS, UPS,
I
Amazon.
literally use my skills to get my current job.
She
I
said
have a regular corporate job now.
She said military logistics people have their picks of very good jobs because if you've done military logistics under pressure, all of the American economy actually revolves so much around the movement of goods. This is a low pressure thing to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially it is low pressure, but then you end up getting the pressure anyway. Like moving freight right now in the world is kind of hard with fuel prices and with the regulations about trucker English language proficiency. There's always going to be something. It doesn't feel like it's the same stakes sometimes, but it's still what's putting food on the table. I got to take it just as seriously, So
of course, it must be. There must be. I mean, I don't want to get into it too much because I have great respect for service members, but there's hearing you say like having to meticulously track fuel prices. You must be ripping your hair out. Hearing you talk about truckers and language proficiency. And I know there's all sorts of fascinating stuff in the world of trucking that I've read about, between automation, I've read actually that there's like I think one of the most fascinating and honorable cultures on earth, the Sikh community, that a lot of truck drivers that there's now a Sikh community that has taken to truck driving, and you're starting to find kind of dope ass food from certain regions of India highway rest stops and truck stops where you'd never predict dope ass Indian food, but it's because there's so many Sikh truck drivers. Like there's so many aspects of that. All of that though, and maybe some of it is just reflective of the military. You learn you have to do the job. None of that's the same as, hey, there's damaged equipment out there, and if it takes us a certain amount of time to fix it, people might die, or it might get stolen. It might fall into hands where we cannot have people seeing the technology we're using. That type of pressure, for you to say like, oh, there's still high pressure. I'm like, man, some of this speaks to how would I phrase it? When you are in the military and you are in Afghanistan and you are doing it, there are certain parts of your brain where this becomes the gig, and it's for you to go like, hey, now it's the same pressure. I'm like, it can't be, but for you it was. For you it was the gig, and there were lives on the line, but you got used to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember 2011 when Obama brought all the basically everyone home from Iraq?
Yeah.
By the end of the year, they'll all be home.
Yes.
Well, I was on the team that helped do that in Qatar.
Wow.
It was a shit show. In Qatar, there's an air base, I'm sure you've heard in the news recently, called Al Udeid Air Base, and they basically funneled everyone through there to get back to the U.S. There were a couple other ways that you could get them out of there, but mostly it was through there. And by the time they shut down some of these places in Iraq, there weren't logistics people left. It was like spec ops left, and they shoved them all on a plane, and there was no logistics people there to tell us they were coming. So we get a plane full of pissed off spec ops come onto into our tent looking for their flight home, and we have to unfortunately tell them these flights home are full for the next looks at watch 4 days. You're camping out here for 4 days in this tent. And then the tents where we had these in-transit people were flooding because it was raining so heavily in Qatar. It was a shit show. Sorry, Sally.
And this all has to be done. People need toilets. They need water. They need food.
No, yeah, it's like the bare essentials, and we're having to sustain them until their flight leaves, and so that's a big strain on the infrastructure of that place as well.
And all of it with the eyes of the world upon it, because as we can see, I think in general, as you say, like Obama announcing by the end of the year we're gone. And this is anything about Obama. I love it. He was my boss for most of my 8 years. Oh no,
couldn't say I would love.
But I was going to say, I feel like if you compare the worldwide public image of how that evacuation went versus when Biden got everyone out of Afghanistan, you go, oh man.
I can't even think about that.
Right? Like the PR side of having to do what you do. And outside of the politics of it, I'll just go on record and say, like, obviously the footage was crazy. It was sad. It felt heartbreaking to watch from afar, but on some level I feel like Biden took so much shit, but like we needed our people to come home. We needed our people to come home, and he did it, and many other presidents hadn't, so we give that, but I can't imagine as a logistics person that you watch that and went, ooh, the bosses are mad about how this went down. This is not how these things are supposed to look when you're America, right?
Yeah. Did you watch Escaping Kabul?
I did not. The whole thing breaks my heart.
I don't really recommend it. I don't think you should. I honestly don't really think anyone should. But I did watch it, and it's very real, raw footage of all the things that went down during those days.
It must hit you
leaving.
So hard.
I saw spaces that I inhabited being completely upended, and all the work, and feel how you want about what we did there. There was real work done, and there was like honest efforts given, and for it to be undone so quickly and with such violence, and to know how much worse it is there now for any given person, especially if they're female, makes me just really, really devastated. It's a very difficult thing to think about.
Yeah, I'm sorry to even bring it up, but
no, not in a way that I can't talk about it. But
when you're with the American military, it's setting a world example, and logistics people are some of the hidden backbone of that.
Yeah, I saw, and the Marines are really good at logistics. They're so efficient. They're like, I don't know what the Marines are like a lot of very efficient, very strong humans. So they were really excellent to do logistics with. The Navy, not so much, I would say. Just very different terms
This is
and things.
one of my favorite things is when you talk to any person who has served in the U.S. military, there is such a sibling level of respect / shade between all the branches. And it's really honestly fascinating and a little bit amusing as a civilian to witness it. To know there's Navy families right now listening to you.
Some people don't really even know the difference.
And there's some Navy families who are like, oh, you Air Force people who get everything you want and have a limitless budget compared to us. Here we go, you nerds.
Whatever.
Half of your jobs are stateside.
Yeah. It's not
Here
my
they
fault.
go.
Not my fault.
But I'm not allowed to say any of that shit. I would never say any of it. The logistics, though.
So I'm not allowed to punch down, right? Just kidding.
I mean, you hear these stories about how in World War II, there was a massive psychological effect in the Pacific Theater because the United States had entire boats going around to other ships to resupply them with ice cream. And apparently this is a documented thing that when the Japanese Navy started to realize the Americans can dedicate resources to making sure their guys have ice cream and we are still scrambling to have food and ammo on a consistent basis, that the psychological effect of America's logistics badassery is honestly one of our greatest weapons of war.
Yeah, I had a coworker in Afghanistan who was a bodybuilder. She was the most hilarious human that I worked with at the time. She was a bodybuilder who was not planning on taking a break on her training just because she was in Afghanistan. So she could only eat certain things, and she was able to acquire those certain things because she had connections on the spec ops part of the base. They had better connections. They had better food supplies, and she got her like fat-free chicken breast that she would do on her little George Foreman grill in the office, and her whatever her weird diet was that she needed to special order, she was actually able to acquire these things all the way in Afghanistan.
Just the fact that anywhere on the globe where the American military establishes a military base, that within from the outside, I'm sure this is somewhat of an exaggeration, but it seems like if we set up a base, within 72 hours, our troops can be eating Burger King and KFC that taste just like home. You're like, damn, it's
really weird.
It's intimidating as hell. Because if you're if you're a military from a country that can't do that, you're like, oh no, we're eating like shitty MREs out of packs and hating them. And these guys get to eat the exact same shit they had at home last week.
But the thing is, when we set up a base, we feed the whole base, even if they're, allied other branches, whatever. So that was a U.S. air base, but we had Australians, Polish, British, what have you, and everyone was eating at our facilities.
The logistics, man. The logistics people are throwing fastballs in the U.S. military.
I guess I didn't expect to talk about the military this whole time.
Yeah, what else should we talk about? I don't want to dwell on it too much. It's such a layered thing.
No, it's okay.
I know that as a notorious progressive lefty, some of the people are like, hey man, you can't gas up the military. And like I said, anyone who gets mad at me about that, I feel like you don't know anyone or haven't actually sat down and spoken to people who have served, because they all have.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that there are so many people who have problems or who get into it for the wrong reasons, but the large majority of people are just there to serve and there to improve their own lives. And we could talk about all the reasons that the military being one of the only viable options to improve your life economically speaks to bigger pictures.
For a huge part of the country.
But don't blame the kids. You don't blame the kids for that,
No. Yeah. And if you don't have exposure, though, it's really hard to say. Having lived in Guam, I lightly touched upon the stray dog situation there. I was horrified when I got there. There's dogs run over in the road. You see every day. Cats run over on the road, like little baby ones. It's horrible. And it's just, I thought, oh my gosh, this has to change. This has to change. It's just so different. And it's just a different order of precedence that is placed on dogs. And I had to get over that and learn that and internalize that and do what I could from where I was sitting as one person in this place. And I did that. I fostered a couple and I brought one home with me. You know, like I had to just sort of see where I was. I had to look left and right and see where I was at. And that's kind of the whole thing about the like, oh, you can't support the military, whatever. Like you cannot support something that someone is utilizing the military to do, but the actual people are just people. And some of them are even not big fans of what's going on, believe it or not, with whatever it may be. And I was, during the 2016 election, drinking out of my Bernie Sanders coffee mug, much to the dismay of my coworkers. That type of stuff really, like, we're all autonomous human beings. We can't really say or do too much for risk of, you know, getting in trouble for real. But it doesn't mean that we're not having our own individual thoughts. And, I want to go ahead.
I just want to say, I would actually argue that there is something sort of sinister feeling to me about how often civilians show dismay towards the military, when I think it is rooted in a sort of intentional separation of, how would I phrase it? When the American military takes action worldwide, that should have an impact on American civilian life. And since Vietnam, there's been a very clear-cut ability for a separation where, for as horrible as Vietnam was, kids from towns were getting drafted and sometimes dying.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I'm saying that the idea, you know, and again, I love Obama too, but I believe it was under Obama's administration that he said, we're not going to allow, or it might have been a Bush thing, but he didn't undo it. We won't allow photos of service members' caskets to be taken when they return home. To me, I go, we can't hide the impact of military action from American people. That creates this separation that's really, really unpleasant for people on both sides. And that creates this feeling that when I, as a civilian, bring up stuff, I can hear you getting a little defensive, which is not what I intend. But I think that when the American military sends troops worldwide, American people should feel like we got to root for our troops. You got to tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree.
Those are like those are your representatives.
Those are your representatives. And some of this is this intentional separation where you start to look at the facts and figures of how many people are enlisting who aren't from America. You know, I know in the Army, so many people would be, if you haven't read up on it, you'd be shocked. Like, so many people from Africa and Korea and other parts of the world coming to serve. And
one of my best friends relinquished her Guatemalan citizenship to serve.
There you go. And then you start to read about the Roman Empire and you go, oh, this same thing happened when Rome got big to a point where their military started having a heavy influx of people who weren't Roman citizens getting their citizenship through military service that created this separation, and Rome eventually collapsed. Like, there is historical precedent to this. I think there should be a healthy symbiotic connection between civilian and military life, and some of that seems to be intentionally separated for the sake of complacency, I would argue.
Yeah.
Whereas I applaud service members. I've talked to so many service members. I'm continuously impressed by service members, and I want to feel that impact in my life. But that, I don't know that always happens anymore, and I don't know that I don't know that I think there's probably layers of people who prefer it that way, in a way that to me feels very unhealthy for all of us.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. People don't know. Like, people don't even really know the differences between the branches. I feel like that's kind of like, at least know that. Why isn't that like in at least some level, some grade level curriculum?
Yeah.
You know,
no,
like,
for real.
And like, this is basic kind of awareness. And I went to college to be a teacher. I did not end up teaching. I had my son, and COVID happened at the same time, and that was not happening anymore. Went back to logistics, but in training for school, I would tell these kids that I'm a veteran, and they don't know. They've never ever met a veteran, which is fine. I can't control who they've been exposed to, but they asked me, have you killed anyone? Have you shot anyone? And I had the opportunity to teach them not to ask that.
Don't be asking that. That's a faux pas.
Yeah.
You learn this, kid.
And you could bring up something really sensitive for someone. And I said, like, I do know people who've had that experience, and it's not very fun for them to talk about. It's just not a good idea. You know, and just to be able to kind of a little bit, the little seedlings, you know, but I think on the same token, I sort of am obligated to say that while I love advocating for myself as a veteran, as a former service member, I think I did okay. I don't think I did any crimes, but I had intended to stay in for 20 years and become a chief, and because I was a woman, I wanted to be a woman enlisted leader because I didn't see enough of this in my experience. And I had to get out at 8 because of my experience as a woman in the military. Wow. I was in that same deployment in Afghanistan in 2013, and a assault was perpetrated against me. That's how far I'll go with that. And my boss, a woman, enlisted leader woman, told me some bad info about how to handle it. And so I did not report based on that bad info. And that guy got out. That guy got away with it. Really let me down. When I educated myself later, I realized how badly I had been let down, and I had to call it. I can't be a pawn in that system anymore. So luckily my now husband was on the same page. We were both planning on getting out. We ended up getting out at basically the same time, which is almost as likely as being born on the same week as someone.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
So it was a big coincidence, very serendipitous, but it all has worked out very beautifully since then. But I can't. I would be remiss if I didn't at least give you some real.
That's real
at the same
shit.
Time.
That is real shit. I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry any of that happened.
And I'm still steamed about it. I wish I could say her name. I'm not gonna. Yeah. I know you just beep it if I did, but
I don't want to blame. That feels like such a level of realism. I think you've both talked about your service in the ways in which it's misunderstood, and then pointed out a way in which you go, but here's something you may have read about, and yeah, it happened to me. So I don't want to move past it, but can I ask you about another logistics related thing?
Absolutely.
As someone who has done this at a military level, who then came back, works in it again and again, I have prior experience talking to someone about how that pipeline is very real, like military logistics into commercial logistics, you know, however you want to refer to it, civilian life. I have to imagine there's nerds about this. Like there's people who track the movement of things or the building of infrastructure. Are there things happening logistically right now where you're like, man, only people who care about this know about it, but it's kind of like wild and mind-blowing? Even thinking about Amazon and what they've done to commerce, I'm like, if you told someone 30 years ago that you would literally be able to shop for anything you ever need and not leave your house, they'd go, and everything would get there sometimes within a few hours, they'd go, this is a mind-blowing non-reality you're describing, but it's real now. What's the nerdy shit happening you're excited about?
I don't really know. I can't really say. I'm a little bit of a skeptic about new things. So like electric vehicles, we were hoping that we would be able to go all electric for freight kind of by a certain time, but it is just not going the way they wanted it to. I think that some people are kind of concerned that car brands are going to stop making petrol fuel vehicles and just go to electric only. I can predict that I don't fear that. If you want to get a nice gas car, probably have a long time before you are out of options there, because I think once you start seeing fleets, like professional fleets, either for the military or for other cargo or people movement that are electric, like on a large scale, then you should start to worry. But because we haven't seen that yet, it's kind of like, I don't know. I love development in rail.
Talk to me about this. Talk to me about this. These train nerds, there's train nerds out there. Let's freeze. I've met these train nerds. I'm telling you, this is real. If you don't know a train nerd in your life, you're not looking hard enough. These are some of the most passionate people you'll ever be around. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jake Goodman, and I'm the host of Beyond the Script, a podcast where I sit down with pharmacists to answer all those health questions that you forget or maybe are too embarrassed to ask when you're at the pharmacy counter. In this episode, all about women's health, Amy Lynn Safety Valentine, a CVS pharmacist from Long Island, New York, talked about just how often women approach pharmacists with questions about menopause symptoms.
When it comes to patients that are really suffering with the symptoms of perimenopause or menopause, it's really important for them to be evaluated by their OBGYN, because there are a lot of prescription medications that can help with that. If someone is really opposed to taking medications, there are a few lifestyle modifications that they can do, like avoiding caffeine and spicy foods, trying to stay hydrated, have a regular sleep cycle, get some exercise. Those are all things that could kind of help to limit the symptoms.
Hear the full conversation, plus so many fantastic insights into all the stages of life when it comes to women's health. Listen to Beyond the Script, a podcast from CVS Pharmacy, wherever you get your podcasts.
As America's most trusted movers, Mayflower has seen it all, from big dreams and new beginnings.
All right, here we are.
Oh, it's perfect! To first steps and fixer-uppers. From starter homes.
So guess what? We're having another.
Another? We definitely need more space.
To more practical homes. Yes, Mayflower has been there for it all and will always have your back. Every moment, every move, every step of the way. Schedule your move now by going to Mayflower.com.
WeatherTech is made right here in America, and it's perfect for an American-made summer. Because we cannonball into summer, hike all over it, slide down it, camp in it. It's one ice cream-covered, sandy, soaking wet mess of a season, which is why WeatherTech floor liners and seat protectors are a must. We are road-tripping, beach-going, lake-jumping Americans, and that's just how we summer. WeatherTech, made in America for an American-made summer. Visit WeatherTech.com today.
Thanks to all of our advertisers. Now we're going to finish off the phone call. Talk to me about this. Talk to me about this. These train nerds, there's train nerds out there.
Oh, so I'm not that. I utilize them. I don't really know much about them, but like they're fortifying and making bigger these ports so we can move more through. What's cool and interesting is, maybe this is common knowledge, but trains are longer in the summer. They have to be shorter in the winter because it takes longer to stop. And that makes total sense, but once I realized that, you really start to notice it. That's when you get the ones you're counting 120, 121. It's always a sunny, hot summer day, right?
I had no idea.
That's cool.
So if you're someone who ships goods, is the summer like, this is our chance to
summer's
get
better, for real.
Are there companies everywhere that are just
Canada.
like, oh man, this is fascinating. Yeah. So like, there's like, hey, it's June, July, August. We need our warehouses full by June because everything flies out the fucking door in July. Let's move. Is that a thing that's happening that none of us know about? Wow.
A little bit, and they're also like trying to push at the same speed during the winter. So that's, I mean, it's not super fun. But up in Canada, all of Quebec during the spring, so right now, is under what they call thaw. Whatever, you can't ship loads that are over a certain weight through Quebec, the whole entirety of Quebec right now, because the thaw is so intense that roads will wash out underneath the weight of a truck if it's too heavy. So there's that, like rail gets all crazy in Canada. There's derailments all the time. There's so many derailments that just don't cause any actual problems for the area, so they're not really in the news. But it'll, like, every week it'd be like the derailment in Nebraska, the derailment in Oklahoma. Like, that is wild. it's just different. And also the biggest adjustment for me, I used to ship stuff. I could have it to Europe by this afternoon on a plane. But now, days and days
Why?
just to get it to another state. Because they're on a truck or a train. It's just not a plane.
Now
I had to get my little patience built.
I once watched a documentary that was all about how much the world transformed when they standardized the size of shipping containers. And this is the type of
I learned about that recently.
This is the type of ultra specific bullshit that I will think about for the rest of my life. This is this idea that shipping
I went to their headquarters and learned about this from them.
This is a dream. And you and I can say that. Like it used to be that things weren't
So
standardized sizes, but now they've standardized the sizes where a longshoreman can lift it onto a boat.
They lift it off the truck.
It can get lifted onto a boat.
That's the ones you see them. Yeah, you see the
locked
ones
in,
stacked on the boats are the same ones you see roll by on the train, the same ones you see on the back of the truck.
They can lift that same box. You don't have to transfer the boxes for different modes of transportation. They've got train cars and trucks and boats that all work with the same sizes. And that revolutionized world shipping. And most people who are just out there buying avocados in the supermarket don't realize, well, at some point, these were way more expensive or you couldn't get them for many stretches of the year because the shipping was not standardized, and now it is. And that's the type of nerdy stuff that I don't know how to say. It floats my boat, man.
Yeah, I work out of the southeast part of the country right now, the Carolinas, and us and our other place that we ship out of in Georgia near Atlanta. This time of year, all through the summer, our freight is getting bumped off the priority list from our trusted carriers because of the fruit harvest season. So oranges and peaches are really, really lucrative for them to transfer. And so they'll take those loads ahead of what we've just got dry goods. I'm not going to say my company, but we just got dry goods.
That ain't going to spoil. And listen.
Exactly. And so it can be placed on someone else's low priority.
And can we also say too, these unionized longshoremen, they're calling way more shots for everybody in this country than anyone realizes. True or false?
Yeah, as we learned about, what was it, 18 months ago?
They went on TV. The president of the union went on TV and said, if you don't give us what we want, supermarkets won't have bananas by Wednesday. Supermarkets will be out of bananas by Wednesday. And that night, you could tell the government called all the bosses and were like, give these fucking people what they want. If we don't have bananas in stores, America will lose their minds. Listen to them. They're going to shut down our whole economy. It was crazy badass.
Yes, it's really, really weird. The impact COVID had on things is either a huge, devastating thing or the best years of the company's history.
No middle
and there's
ground.
kind of no in between, depending on what you were doing at that time. Our business looks back and it's like, whoa, remember COVID numbers? It will never hit that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Look at that.
if this is helping you kind of maybe deduce what kind of stuff I'm shipping around, which I'll never say, but it's in 98% of households. So my specific brand is in 98% of households. Try to figure it out. I'll never say.
So you're working on a product in 98% of households. They respect the shit
Dry
out of your
goods,
military.
so it's not spoilable.
I love it. And then
It's a company that's U.S. company.
We've all heard of it.
Yeah, you've all heard of it, and there's two brands that we're working with that are
you're
big
getting
brands.
it all over. You sit there with spreadsheets, and do you have like big maps of the world of where things are and where things are held up?
No,
How
I
does
use a
this
little
work?
system just for one at a time. I'll put a little there's just little tracking systems and stuff. I don't want to get too in the weeds, but it's
I get
I'm
so
not seeing
nerdy
maps.
about it.
I'm looking at a list of things, and I'm just making sure that this one's due Wednesday, that it delivers on Wednesday. If it's looking like it's not going to deliver on Wednesday, let's hit them up and see what's going on with it. Like, it's a lot of the just like following up, making sure babysitting is what I call it. It's not a nice word, but but yeah, it's a lot of tracking, and then people will come to me, hey, what's going on with this load? I got to answer them right away. I don't know.
So
I don't know, I'm going to find out.
You got to worry about weather. You got to worry about fuel
Oh
prices.
yeah, remember back in Remember the beginning of February when everyone had the huge snowstorm? You had it.
Yeah.
It hit you hard.
It snowed in New Jersey for like a fucking year straight. It was like 5 straight months of fucking snow. I have friends who are moving to Florida because this winter broke them. My son's best friend's family is moving to Florida because they're like, we can't ever live through a winter like that again.
I believe it because I still remember the dates of those 2 snowstorms.
They kicked our
still
ass
today because it affected my job intensely as a person working out of the Carolinas.
Damn.
I don't even know if my year's average numbers will ever recover from those 2 weekends.
2 weekends of bad weather can kick everybody's ass. So what are the other things you have to worry about?
And linger.
Weather events, fuel prices,
politics,
military actions.
And the brand is, with inflation, the brand is increasing prices, so we got to make sure that people are going to continue to buy it if we increase the price. But I don't know. I don't deal with that kind of stuff. It's just, it's kind of, it's not all consuming. My job isn't all consuming. I have a rich life outside of my work too. So I do it. I am trying to possibly pivot sometime soon to a more remote position. Maybe doing something more with a more interesting product, maybe, but not crazy. I don't even need it, and I'm not needing to leave because the job is bad or anything. I just
think it's
cool.
It
a little, but
I know that for you, you're like, it's my job and it's boring.
Cool,
and knowing that when you hear
it's cool to know things and insights that folks don't know.
And for you to realize, like, so you're shipping blank all over the world. It's a product that all of us are grabbing. It's a part of our lives. We're probably not thinking that hard about it. But then you're somebody who has to go like, okay, China's calling in their debt on Sri Lanka. And now okay, so the Sri Lankan ports are, the port of Colombo is now owned by China. Fuck, how does that change what I do? How does that allow me to get like Kleenex tissues around the fucking world or whatever you do? It's cool.
Yeah, there's like a plastic resin that we need to use. It's obviously petroleum based that we were having a pretty big panic attack about not being able to get through the strait.
Wild.
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess that would be a thing. I don't deal with the international side of things yet.
Look at this. It's so cool.
But yeah, that's why I kind of give a side eye every time I see an empty shelf at a store. I'm kind of like,
Right. Is this, have they not unpacked the boxes yet? Or you'll be in the supermarket and you'll be able to be like, based on what these products are, my guess is either their produce manager had a sick day and things are just behind, or that's the type of product that's starting to indicate that worldwide shipping is officially getting fucked up. Like you can kind of sense that.
I'm mostly looking in the category of what I am working with, and I'm looking around and like who's taking up more shelf space, whose stuff is full better, or is full not better, just sort of eyeballing it. But if it's not there at all, I'm like, dang, who didn't connect that dot before they left on Friday?
So that to me,
but
I really love talking to people where I hear like your trip to the supermarket is just slightly different than mine because of what you know and I don't. I think that's very fascinating.
Yeah, but that's how everyone is.
I know.
You look around at everyone around you. Everyone's having a unique experience.
There's things I perceive.
That's the whole point of this show.
It is. And there's things I can go to certain towns. I'll drive through certain towns that are really small and see a certain type of venue and go, oh man, okay. I need to put this on my radar because this is a place where you can sell tickets and nobody else has totally figured that out yet. Okay, great.
And it looks cool. It's like a hidden gem. You see it's like decorated really well or something. You're like, okay, that looks like a social mecca.
Right. And I probably have some indicators for that type of stuff that like other people in a car with me wouldn't be clocking in the same way.
Yeah, you're looking at like, how many exits are there? Maybe you're looking at where would I go in? Where would, things like that, different aspects of like kind of being in a space that a patron wouldn't.
A physical space. Oh, I definitely have been in spaces where I'm totally distracted from the conversation happening around me because I'm in my mind like, Man, if you put a PA and a mic in that corner and put chairs down facing this way, this would be a sick room for this and that. And people are like, why are you being so quiet? And I'm like, oh, because I'm having a dialogue with myself about something that no one else in here would care about, but I can't turn those gears off because of my life experience.
Yeah, totally. There's lots of that from all the experience. Actually, one of those things is I thought, because I lived in Guam for 3 years and then Florida for 1 after that, that anytime I saw a dust bunny, it was automatically a roach.
Wait, what's a dust bunny?
And now
like
I'm
just
over
like
that.
like
a little, like you see like some dog hair float by, or like a little dust on the floor rolls by, like anything moves that's smaller than like. Yeah, it was automatically in my brain. It was like, oh no, a roach, and then it was, but I had to get over that.
Tropical climate's got some crazy ass bugs, huh?
Yeah, there were these huge beetles that would just get stuck on their back, and they would click their wings to try to get up, and I would help them, but then also hate that. But no, actually Florida is where I think. What year did you start this pod? Because I might have jumped in a little after you actually started it.
2016.
15?
16.
16. So it was that year. It was that year. That was when my now husband and he lived in one part of Florida and I lived in a different part of Florida. And when we would drive to see each other, it was about a 6-hour trip, which is pretty crazy to be in the same state and driving 6 hours. But I listened to BA on those drives.
That's the perfect thing for this show.
Relationship.
Perfect function for this show.
I had to make the connection. And my now husband, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, was college roommates with someone who you knew in New York.
Hold on. We're going to bleep the name, but can you say who it was? What?
Yeah, my husband is his college roommate from Indiana.
What a sweet, kind person who I saw a million times over the years.
That's how he describes him. Yeah, he says that he's one of the nicest, sweetest people he's ever met. Truly kind. And they were good buddies. They were good buddies.
You've traveled from Guam to Afghanistan to Florida to even Montana, and then it turns out we got a mutual acquaintance. What a small goddamn world.
6 degrees of Chris Guess.
Yeah. If I stick around long enough in this career, that's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's I had to make those two connections with you because it's just it's the parasocial of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're just about out of time on the free feed. This one flew by. I feel like I dragged you into some military talk and logistics talk you weren't anticipating. I hope that wasn't a bummer because I was
just glad to talk to you at all.
I was fascinated this entire conversation.
I'm so glad. I hope other folks get fascinated as well.
I think they will.
This is very fun. Are we almost out of time?
We're out of time on the main feed, but I'm hoping you'll stick around because now we have the paywall stuff where we get to know you a little better. So I'm hoping you have like 15 more minutes to hang out.
I sure can.
Caller, thank you so much. I feel like I talked your ear off about military stuff and logistics stuff, but I get nerdy about both. So thanks for bearing with me and thanks for being so open and honest. Thank you for everything and thank you for serving. Thanks to everybody out there who has served. Thank you to Andrea Quinn, the High Priestess of Beautiful Anonymous. Thank you to Shellshag for our theme music. We're on Instagram. We have a Facebook group. Please let people know that we exist. And if you want to support the show, the most direct way to do it, and it gets you all sorts of other stuff, is go to beautifulanonymous.com, sign up for the content that lives behind the paywall. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. This week on Beautiful Anonymous Plus, here's some of what you'll get from the 5 questions. Who was your first crush and why?
Oh, can I tell you? it was this boy named Alex in my class when I was like a first grader. And I distinctly remember sitting next to him in second grade and pretending to not know how to do a word search so that he would teach me so that I could interact with him.
You faked incompetence. You faked incompetence in first grade.
I didn't know how anti-feminist that was at the time, but it was the only thing I could think of.
Don't forget to sign up for Beautiful Anonymous Plus at beautifulanonymous.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.